It is 5:30, Monday, September 9th, 2024. I'll call this special meeting to order. The City of Peru Common Council and the Peru City Hall Council Chambers. Can we have a roll call, please?
Anderson?
Here.
Fisher?
Here.
Huber?
Here.
Murphy?
Here.
Sahayedutchny?
Here.
Stevenson? Ulrich?
Here.
Thank you. This special meeting is called to review resolution number 19-2024, the funds for the 2025 city budget. Andrew, if you'd like to go down through those, please.
The general, the adopted budget is proposed as $7,684,330. Debt services, $210,075. Fire pension, $714,004. Police pension, $508,204. Local roads and streets, $70,000. Motor vehicle highway is $813,202. Crime control, $10,000. Continuing education, $26,000. Park, $8,054, $466. Park bond, $116,100. Aviation, $100,109. The cumulative capital improvement is 0. The cumulative capital development is $100,000. The economic development income tax seated is $2,781,500. Special fire protection territory is $3,451,643. The special fire protection territory equipment replacement is $6,000. And the public safety LOIT is $984,832.
Any questions about the reading of the fund budgets for 2025?
Mayor, I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
On the continuing education, is that for police officers and firefighters?
Yes, it's for police officers, yes.
Right. Okay, thank you.
So there will be nothing to adopt or vote on tonight. This is just a reading of the fund balances proposed for the 2025 budget. Have any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Line item budgets are not here to be discussed tonight. These are just fund budgets. If there's nothing further, or if you have more questions, I would need a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
I'd make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
The special meeting is adjourned. We'll re-adjourn and council in the Peru City Hall chambers. If you'd please stand and follow the Pledge of Allegiance with me. and remain standing for the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is Pastor Brent here?
I'll pray.
Would you mind?
Let's pray. Father God, you are good, and everything you do is good. And Lord, all authority comes from you. So we just pray that you would give wisdom to those in authority tonight, and that you would give an excitement for the things that people are here to discuss. I pray that people would speak with wisdom, understanding what it is that they came to present, that they would do a good job being clear with their words, that their passion would show through. I pray that as we handle funds, that you would be glorified by the way that our city spends money. But overall, Lord, I pray for peace within and unity within our community, that we would be people who get along. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Kristen. First item of business will be the reading and correcting of the minutes from our regular meeting on August 5th.
If there are no corrections, I'd like to move to suspend the rules and dispense with the reading of and the correction of the journal and approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Huber?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Syedechny?
Yes.
Stevenson? Ulrich?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll begin with the committee liaison reports. Councilwoman Murphy?
Things are going well with the parks. Muni's having a better year than last year, and they're working on the finalization of the irrigation plans.
Thank you. Councilwoman Ulrich?
The Planning Commission met on September 3rd. During that meeting, discussion regarding the new B ordinance was passed, rezoned from R1 to R3 on North Duke Street for the affordable housing. Was also passed and rezoned from R1 to R3 on South Business 31 for assisted living was passed. Also, Drew Stevenson was also voted vice president for the Plan Commission. The Civic Center Board did not meet this month, but I do have a reminder that we're planning to have the open house on October 5th. The next meeting scheduled for the Civic Center is September 26th at 5 o'clock. The Cable Board also did not meet this month. Currently, we are only meeting as an as-needed basis. However, the TV out in the lobby, they will be here on Monday to install that. And the Tax Abatement Board did not meet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Anderson?
I have nothing to report.
Councilman Fisher?
Attended the Board of Works meetings on August 6th and August 3rd. Attended Peru Utility Board meetings on August 21st and September 4th, and they have a presentation tonight on the rate. Miami County Economic Development Authority attended their board meeting on the 14th of the month, and also elected officials meeting on the 12th. Miami County Recycling District attended that board meeting on the 12th, and they approved some claims and dealt with some personnel issues, and also that they reopened after doing a sewage drain repair at that facility. Rediscover Downtown Peru, attended, I'm liaison with that, attended that meeting on August 8th to discuss Cole Porter Festival, second Saturday activities and facade grant update, and kind of did a recap of that. Other liaison assignments, I went to they didn't have anything for the Miami County 911 Central Dispatch because that meeting's going to be the 11th of this week. Committee on Wage Negotiation, nothing to report, and Tax Abatement Review, nothing to report in August. Some other meetings that I attended was the County Commissioners meeting on August 19th. August 8th, attended Broadway Landing Infrastructure Project groundbreaking, attended the Makita Key Building Rehab Committee meeting on August 30th, and this last Saturday attended the airport open house that they had out there.
Thank you. Councilman Syed Dutchany.
Okay, I attended the Board of Works meeting on August 23rd, Friday. There's discussion on the hiring of new probationary firefighters. On August 20th was the Miami County Council, and there were new appropriations or transfers, equipment, lab equipment for the 3 schools, $35,000, psych evaluations for Superior Court, $10,000, and there was also interesting discussion on the Circus Hall of Fame and Circus City Festival, and also on the 28th, it was special budget hearing, and I attended part of one of the budget hearings, and it seems like they pretty much are in agreement as to that the county budget is pretty well balanced.
Thank you. Councilman Huber.
Yes, went and saw Greg up at the animal control. They did get invited to bring dogs to the Pickers Place on October the 12th for their open house. So they'll be taking the kennels to show some of the dogs that are available for adoption. They have a pretty full house up there. Talked to Brian on the street department. All the paving is complete in the Oakdale area. Once Forest Avenue is done, then the city will work on additional paving towards West City Park. They're working on getting some new trucks in order. And that's all for them. And did go out to the open house Saturday at the airport, and that was amazing. Huge turnout. They were running 3 airplanes, giving airplane rides. They flew all day. It was crazy. The Huey was out there. That helicopter was flying all day. It's just super outcome. Got over $2,000 in cash donations to help support the airport. So I'd say it was overall a very good success. Troy Tomes was out there. He cooked tenderloin, so it was good. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Moving to unfinished business, we have one item. From our last meeting, we had a request from the Scratching Post for a 2025 or donation for their 2025 year. Their asking was $34,200. I think you all heard the presentation. We need to have a discussion on how much or if you think we should donate to that organization for the spaying and neutering of cats. Conversation? Discussion?
What was the total amount again, Mayor?
$34,200 is what they were asking.
Are they staggering that like for the year, basically, or that amount?
That was for the total year. I suppose if it's a quarterly
Yeah.
donation, she didn't specifically say that,
Yeah.
but quite frankly, it's up to the council to decide kind of how much and even how we would like to disperse that, if you would like to participate in that at all.
Is this open for discussion?
It is.
I'll just say that I know when they moved it to the new facility on Miami Street, they moved about 200 cats. And as of the presentation this past meeting, they're at 274. And I know a lot of they do raise money, and a lot of their money goes to pay for food and for medicine and so on, for the cats that are there. I'm a little concerned about making a contribution until they start adopting out cats. I know We also need to think about having some kind of an ordinance, I know we tried this before, to reduce the stray cat population in this town, which, there's trap, neuter, release programs and so on, but that's for another discussion. We tried that before a couple of years ago, and we had it shot down because a lot of people that love cats were against it. So I think there really needs to be more discussion about it from my perspective before we talk about making a contribution. Maybe they need to reorganize their adoption program or look at something where they can use some of their existing funds for food and so forth to use for neutering and spading. That's just my own personal comment.
And my thoughts are, if we don't do something with the ordinance that's already in place, either rework it or enforce it, to where this is just going to continue to be an ongoing problem if we don't actually fix the ordinance and just keep spending the money to spay and neuter them, I think that would be the first lines of getting it taken care of.
I agree with Steve and Tim both. I think that the ordinance needs to be revamped, and then it also needs to be enforced.
Thank you.
I like the idea of donating the city, because if you think about it, the scratching post has been operating all this time on donations. So I think it's a good gesture for the city to get involved and help the cause. All through all these years, it's been nothing but donations from the community. So if there's extra money in the budget, I'd like to see the city kick in that amount.
Pete, I think maybe we revamp the ordinance first and start, in my opinion, start enforcing that and then revisit maybe a donation.
So is the suggestion to table this, revamp or take a look at modifying the existing ordinance and putting more enforcement on that ordinance before you move forward with any kind of a donation?
That would be my vote.
Is that what I'm understanding?
That's my vote.
Okay. Then I think we should table this for this meeting, review the current ordinance, and see how we can put more enforcement in the existing ordinance. Is that a fair statement to the council?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do I need to call for any kind of vote for that? So I'm going to go ahead and now ask for a roll call, and if you agree with the statement I made, just say yes or no. Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Huber?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Syed
Yes.
Stevenson? Ulrich?
Yes.
Thank you. Seeing no more unfinished business, we will move to new business. I do have one bit of information to relay. The discussion regarding the B ordinance will be tabled till our next meeting. We had, apparently it was not notified or properly published in the paper in a timely fashion. So that will come back to us at the next meeting in October. The remaining business under new business, I will start with saying that the first two issues or the first 2 points of business on our agenda will most likely generate conversation from the audience. I would ask that we follow decorum in this council chamber. I would ask that once you hear the presentation, if you, we will ask for public comment. If you choose to come up and speak, I'll ask you to raise your hand. You'll be chosen to come up and speak at the podium. We will limit your comments to 5 minutes. We want to make sure that we get everybody's input that would like to give input, at the same time keeping organization, structure, and decorum in this meeting. So the first thing we have is a petition to rezone parcel 5211-06, commonly known as 2523 South Business 31, from an R1 to a B3 to use property as an independent living assisted living residence for elderly. Jennifer, could you come up, please?
Good evening, Council. So the Plans Commission met last Tuesday to see the rezoning for 2523 South Business 31, to rezone it from an R1 to a B3. The Planning Commission voted favorably for this, and I have Mrs. Fields here if you have any questions. Any questions for Mrs. Fields on what she wants to do?
I do.
Okay, Mrs. Fields?
Hi.
How are you?
Good. And I listened to your presentation at the Plan Commission. So I had a couple questions. I know the house looks really nice there, but I know you said there was going to be a second house that's put on that property, correct?
No,
Oh,
no, it's just the downstairs, so it's two. You have a living space downstairs and you have a living space upstairs.
okay.
No,
So-
there would nothing be
So
put on the property.
you're just going to expand on the existing,
Yeah, it'll just stay the way it is. We
Okay.
just made it look really nice
Okay.
for the assisted living.
okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I misunderstood when I was listening at that meeting, so. And I think we have a similar home in the Golden Hills area, just down the road from that does something similar to what you do, so
Oh, I
it's
wasn't
not
aware of that.
a new thing,
Okay.
you know.
I have a question. How many residents do you plan on having there?
We're looking between 8 and 10 residents.
And staff?
So it'll be a staff, so it'll be staff up and down for independent living and for limited assist. We'll have caregivers for both sides.
Okay.
And I do have a question for Jennifer. So this is the correct zoning for this, a B3?
Yes, yes, it is.
Any more questions from the council? Questions or comments from the audience regarding this rezoning request? If not, I'm going to ask for a roll call for a motion to approve this rezoning for this particular property. And when your name is called, it would be just a yes or a no. Roll call.
Do we need a motion to?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Huber?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Seiya-Dutchney?
Yes.
Stevenson? Ulrich?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your rezoning's been approved. Next item on our list is a petition to rezone parcel 52-08-28-300, commonly known as 364 North Duke, from R1 to R3 for a 38-unit housing development.
So this North Duke, it's the rear lot and the side lot that we would be rezoning from an R1 to an R3, which is just a single-family residential to a multifamily residential. The Planning Commission did vote favorably, and we have Tammy from Wuda Cooper here with a presentation for you tonight.
Good evening. We are proposing to do 38-unit townhomes, and as you can see by the about the diagram and the site plan, we took in consideration all the trees that are currently there. I know when we met with Planning and Zoning last Monday, one of the concerns from the residents was the fact that deer are located on this site, and that was one of the reasons why we chose to only do 38 townhome units here. Based upon current zoning right now, if this was rezoned to R3, you could potentially put 245 units on this property, and we chose not to because we wanted to keep the second part of the property here as just trees. And then we got a canopy surrounding it so that the development itself is covered by trees. There was some conversation at the zoning meeting that the residents would prefer single family. And I just want to point out that if single family were to go in here as it's currently zoned, that could create 70 single family homes, and the majority of the trees would be gone. So this development is affordable housing, workforce affordable housing. We met with the mayor and then Jim with the economic development. I met with them about a month ago for the need and what the need here was, and they both voiced that there was a need for affordable housing. For a 4-person household here in Miami County, the average income is $74,000. With this mixed-use income, we are going up to, and that equates to 100% of the area median income. With this development, we are going up to 80% of the area median income. So for a 4-person individual, they would have to make $64,880. I do want to point out that this is 19 2-bedroom units and 19 3-bedroom units. They are townhomes, and the beauty about this development is at the end of the 15-year compliance period, if whoever the individual is remaining in that unit at the end of the 15 years, if they choose to purchase this from us, they can, and it will be at a less valued price that they'd have to pay because the equity would go into the development that's already been paid in. So in a lot of instances, we're seeing nowadays since COVID, the housing market has skyrocketed. We know rents have skyrocketed to the point that people can't really afford them, that some of the rents are mainly the same as mortgages. I just want to point out that the highest rent for a 3-bedroom unit here will be $995, and for a 2-bedroom, $885. So we are still keeping the rents lower than what you're seeing in the market around here. I think some of the market rate properties right now for a 3-bedroom unit is going for $1,400 a month. So that's the beauty of this development, that individuals have an opportunity to have home ownership if they choose to. If they choose not to, that's fine. We will continue to rent this development. And I do want to point out that Woda Cooper Companies, we are a development, a construction, and a management company. So everything we do is in-house. When we come to construction, we do subcontract everything out. So we will look at individuals in the community, for flooring and things like that. But because we are a management company, we don't third-party manage our units out, whereas we take our share of what's ever left from the operating costs to pay our management team last, whereas if you have a third-party management company, they always take their fee first, and then whatever is left goes to the development. We have been in business we've been in business for 34 years. We manage over 16,000 units, and we own over 400 properties. We are in 17 states. I am based out of Kentucky. So I can assure you that day one, when we have a grand opening, that 15, 30 years later, you can walk that property and it's still going to look the same. That's how well we maintain it. We are ranked 10th in the nation as affordable housing developers. Oh, and I do want to add that some of the amenities we are offering here, we do provide the refrigerator, stove, dishwasher, microwave oven, washer and dryer hookups in every unit, mini blinds, luxury LVT flooring, and then on site we will have a community room with a kitchenette for the residents to have if they want to have parties. We will have an on-site fitness center for the residents, and we will also have a laundry facility in case someone doesn't have their washer and dryer or it breaks down or whatever. We'll also have a dog park, and then we will have a playground and outdoor picnic area. So those are some of the amenities we will be offering.
Where's the closest unit that you guys have to us?
Noblesville, I think, right now, and then we've got one in Kokomo.
And what are those called?
The one in Noblesville is called Pebble Crossing. Huh? Pebble Village, sorry. We have another Pebble Crossing in Kentucky. And then the one in Kokomo, is that Arts? Brentwood. And, yeah. And then we have some all throughout Indianapolis. So we have several in Indianapolis. And as a matter of fact, the mayor and Jim took a tour with me a month ago at the property in Noblesville.
At the planning commission, you spoke about, for like a single mom, it being $340 a month.
Yes.
I know you didn't mention that today, so can you elaborate a little bit on that part?
Yeah, when we met with the mayor and with Jim, they wanted to see more of a mixed-use development because, you know, there's some people, like a single-family mother, say she's just getting a divorce and getting back in the workforce. It's hard for her to find any type of housing nowadays. So what we've done is we have got 3 units at the 30% AMI to allow for a single mother or someone just getting back into the workforce to be able to afford rent and have their own unit. So that rent would start at $340 for a 2-bedroom and $395 for a 3-bedroom. Again, they have to have some type of income, and those are usually your individuals that are working at Walmart or a teller at a bank or something like that could afford that type of rent right there. And the best part about this type of program is it's not public housing, it's not Section 8, but with affordable housing, and Ronald Reagan was the one that actually introduced the housing credit program back in the 80s, is that with Section 8 and public housing, if someone's income increases, then their rent also increases. These are not based upon an increase in income. So if someone gets a raise, or say they win the Indiana lottery, they don't have to move out. So they can continue to save money, have a savings account, and whether they choose to purchase this at the end of the 15 years or not, they can still be able to go and buy housing somewhere else.
At the Plan Commission, you mentioned 38,700, which that number was like the average income for the county as far as the single wage earner. Is that correct?
Yeah, the 50% AMI for Miami County is $38,700. So yeah, so for a mother with 3 children or 2 children, that would be the average income coming in Miami County. It's like I said, for a 4-person individual in Miami County at 100% AMI, the average is $74,400 a year.
So even if they get this reduction, rent reduction, they would have to still, if it's a single mother with, you know, children, she'd have to still make 38.7?
She couldn't make over 38.7.
She couldn't make over
Yeah, she couldn't make over that.
And there's only 3 units out of the 38 units that get that reduced?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And my last question would be, now, how do you get back, you know, that difference in rent? Is it through tax credits from the state?
Yes. So just to give you a quick down and dirty about housing credits. So we apply through the state housing agency for these housing credits, and I'll just use simple numbers to make it simplistic. So let's say I ask for $500,000 of credits for this development. The state housing agency awards us this $500,000 in credit. The credit is no good to us as a developer. However, it is to investors. So investors will look at that credit as a tax write-off. And we're not seeing this, but I'm just going to use it for simplicity reasons. Say they purchase that credit for $1. So over a 10-year period, which is how the housing credit program works, that $500,000 at $1 equates to $5 million. So now when we have to go get the mortgage for this, say our development is $8 million, we're only having to get a mortgage of $3 million. So that's saving us, that's like a $500 million grant, and that's why we are able to lower our rents to make them more affordable, especially with seniors and this workforce housing that they're really pushing up in Washington.
Okay. Yeah, I might have misunderstood the number of units that got the lower rent adjustment. I thought it was higher than.
Well, there is 6 at the 2-bedroom, and, I'm sorry, there's 3 at the 2-bedroom and 3 at the 3-bedroom,
So
yes.
6.
Yes, there is 6.
Not 3, okay.
So if a single mother with their children who's making $38,700, if she gets a promotion or a new job, she shouldn't take it because she can't make over the 38,000.
No.
So it's not encouraging.
No, that's just, they can't make over that amount at move-in. Once they move in and they qualify at move-in, they can get however many raises, win the lottery, whatever, they don't have to move. So that's just qualifying at move-in. And that's just at the 30% AMI. For the 80% MAI, for one person, they couldn't make over starting out at $45,440. That's one person. But after they moved in and qualified, then if they got a rent increase, it doesn't matter. Because like I said, the rent isn't based upon their income. They just have to income qualify at move-in, and that's it.
Ma'am, would you be renting month to month or the whole year when they sign the lease agreement?
So we sign a year lease.
What is the turnover rate like in your current ones?
Right now, with all of our properties, we're at 98% occupancy rate. And we have waiting lists anywhere from 40 to, in some areas, 120 people on our waiting list. That just shows the true need of the need for affordable housing. And it's not just here, it's everywhere.
What kind of security measures do you take?
So we do not have a security guard on site. You know, I don't think this is a high crime area, but we do have a manager on site 5 days a week, and we have a maintenance tech on site 5 days a week. And then we also have emergency numbers for them to call after hours.
Have you spoke to our local law enforcement regarding the increase in patrol that they would need to have?
We have not. That's something that once we know we get an award of funds, that's when we start talking to the fire department, the police department, and everybody else when we start going towards building permits.
Do you do background checks on all the adult residents?
We
or
do.
just
We
the
do.
owners?
No, we do background checks on all the adult residents. We also do a rent check to make sure they don't have any past rents due to any other landlords. We do criminal background checks. So yeah, we do a major overhaul before we lease to anybody.
But the criminal background checks, they're done on every adult resident living there, whether or not they are on the lease or not?
Yes.
So how do you control if someone's having a guest stay, basically, you know, for a long period of time?
So in our leases, no one can spend the night more than 8 times in any given month.
And how do you patrol that?
Our manager keeps an eye on that. We also do monthly inspections so that we go and check the units. And if we see, like, now Mrs. Smith has men's clothing in there and there's no men located on her lease, then she will be written up, and then the manager will be checking in on that to see what's going on.
Ma'am, you mentioned the renters will have an option to purchase?
Yes.
At what time?
So this is a tenant lease that we're doing with this, and at the end of the 15 years, so with the housing credits, we have to stay in compliance with the state housing agency for at least 15 years, and in some cases 30 years. At the end of that 15 years, when the investor has already got his credit, we now fully own the development, and the investors are out of it. So at that point, we can then let the tenant, the last tenant living in that unit has the option of purchasing that particular townhome. And like I said, it's at a reduced, all the equity that's been paid into it comes off that purchase price.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize, just for clarification. The guests staying, you said they can't stay more than 8 days straight or 8 days in the whole entire year?
8 days of the entire month.
Month. So they could come stay 8 days, go stay somewhere else, and still there's no background check done on them?
Well, I mean, at some point, if we start seeing them doing, you know, a competitive thing, our manager will be looking into that.
How many units have you guys sold?
How many units have we ever sold? So in the 34-year history of Woda Cooper Companies, we had sold one development. And the reason we sold that one development was because our partners that was involved in it, it was best for Woda Cooper's name to sell that property and get out of it with that particular owner. However, 2 years ago, we did sell our rural development portfolio. The reason we sold that rural development portfolio is because rural development is taking forever to try to get any funds to try to close. We had some rural development properties that have been built since the early 80s and that needed rehab work. We couldn't get to a closing with rural development. We couldn't come to any agreement with them to go in and do this work. So in the interest of our reputation, we felt at that time, since we couldn't go in and rehab these units that were starting to need major rehab, that we would go on and sell the property. So I think that ended up being 40 developments that we sold at that point. But everything else we own.
And to answer your question, so no individual that's lived in these units for 15 years have bought?
Pardon?
No resident in all of your units have bought their townhome after staying there 15 years?
We have had some. We don't do the tenant lease program a lot, but because of the need here for the affordable housing and, you know, the market and everything, and with the state housing agency is putting a focus on tenant lease just to boost up the economy right now because people are struggling trying to find housing. That's why this particular project, we did tenant lease.
Okay.
So tenant lease is newer to you guys then?
No, we've done it. We've done it before, but it's not what we normally do. I think we probably have maybe 10 to 15 developments we've done that way.
And out of those developments, how many of the houses have been bought?
We haven't gotten to that 15 years yet.
Okay. Is there any avenues that you guys take to ensure that, because I know that area is pretty calm and quiet, are there any avenues you guys take as far as noise or vandalism, anything like that? How are you going to keep that area to continue to be calm and quiet like it is?
Like I said, our leases are very strict, and we make sure the tenants abide by them. And if they get written up more than twice, they're out of there. So our management staff does not tolerate anything like that. We had one project years ago that was in Kentucky, and it was an elderly project. And one of the elderly women that lived there, her grandchildren started coming in there during the day, and they was coming in and smoking and everything. And when we found out, we got the state police to come with dogs. We walked the entire property. We walked the parking lot. We had police sitting there to make it known. And then we told the residents that if her grandchildren came in there anymore, she was going to lose her lease. And we haven't had a problem since. So anytime we get wind of anything, we're on it as quick as possible.
Do you happen to have a copy of the lease agreement that we could all see?
I can email it. I don't have it with me.
Okay.
So do you guys take care of all the infrastructure getting to the property, the water, power, you guys pay for all that, the roads?
Yes, we
And
do.
then you guys maintain all that? That is not like turned over to a city street at that point? You guys plow it?
Right,
all of that?
right, because this isn't a city seat or city street, or it wouldn't be dedicated to that. So it'd just be our entrance, and we would take care of all that.
Is it correct you're tearing down a house to access the property?
No, we're not tearing anything down. The only thing that we're doing is we're going to be eliminating some of the trees, but we're going to keep a canopy of the trees so that our development is hidden.
I mean, because there's two properties, right? There's a property that a house is on, and then your property? Because we have two different.
It is two partials, but the back partial, we're not doing anything to. And I don't know,
Okay.
I don't know of a house being on there.
I just thought in the planning commission meeting, there was mention of that was how you were accessing the property.
No, so the entrance is coming in between two houses there off of Duke, but we're not tearing down any houses. There are two houses that will straddle the entrance of our entrance coming into the development.
Okay.
And we will make sure that we put trees along that entrance as a barrier.
So that entrance is all part of the same exact property?
Yes. Yeah, that is where the road cut is.
And that property is wide enough, the incoming, to put a 2-lane in there with trees on either side?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Trying to see if the architect had that on here, but he did not.
I have a question. Looking at this photograph here, it looks like you guys, your entrance will go straight west off of Duke Street, almost straight west, into your complex, and then the property on the south side, it appears that's going to stay pretty much vacant. Or are you going to be looking to expand into that property at a later date, or will that remain?
No, that will remain
What it
vacant.
is.
As you can see, if we had ever thought about doing a phase 2, when we did this development, we would have made sure there's a way that we could have another road going back there, but we're not, as you can see, based upon our design. We have no desire to do anything on that piece of property there. And once we build this development, that piece of property will become landlocked.
Thank you.
So you guys are going to be the sole owners of it? Because I know you mentioned previously the one you had purchased, or you sold, you were in partnership with someone, is that correct?
So sometimes we do go in partnership with nonprofit organizations. When we offer like special needs housing and things like that, we partner up with them to provide services. So like I said, we own over 400 properties. So in some of those properties, we are partnering up with a nonprofit. This was one of the developments from the very beginning that we partnered up with someone. They were a for-profit, and it ended up they had a negative connotation to their company, and we thought it was in our best interest if we just sold out and wasn't a part of that development anymore. But that's been 32 years ago.
But there's no plans on you going in partnership with anyone else for this property?
No, we do not have, no. We are the sole developers on this one.
Okay.
Now, we will be working with a social service provider that if they want to come in and offer like financial training and things like that, we always offer those services to our residents to help them with different things that they might need. So that's just a service that we offer to the residents if they want to take it.
Thank you.
And have you guys been in contact with the utilities as far as making sure that everything works as far as sewer, power, getting everything back there?
We have not met with utilities yet because normally we don't do that until we know we've got an award of funds. We won't know that until November. If we get an award of funds from the State Housing Agency at that time, we will then start working on our 40% plans. We will meet with the utility companies. We will meet with the fire department before we start working on our final plans for building permit. So we'll make sure at that moment we'll meet all your all's restrictions, setback requirements, et cetera.
So if we were to vote on this and say voted on the zoning to be R3, and then you aren't awarded the funds from the state, you would not do this project, right?
Correct.
But it would still be R3.
So that's my knowledge, yes.
And that concerns me a little bit because I'd like to have some control over.
I think you can put like as a conditional commitment that if we don't receive funding, then it could automatically go back to an R1. We've seen that in some communities. I don't know what your all's regulations require.
Okay.
I personally would like to see that, if this gets voted that way, just so it doesn't stay at a R3 and then develop into something else just because it's already there.
Right. And like I said, if it stays R1, then somebody could purchase it and there's going to be 70 homes built. We looked at right now, the mid-size lot from your all's restrictions is 4,000 square feet. But then when you put in the roads and the driveways and the sewers, you're looking at 5,008 square feet per acre. So when we figured that up, that's 70 single-family homes going back there. So you'll be looking at more traffic. I'm sure if someone else comes in and does single-family homes, they'll want to have 2 entrances where we just want the one. We like the one entrance for the security of our residents.
Have any of your properties in the past been turned over to Section 8 housing?
No. There is no Section 8 housing per se money out there anymore. There is like the 202 program that you can get some funding to help with senior projects, but the days of just purely Section 8 developments, those days have been gone since the late 80s.
Any more questions?
Any more questions from the council? I will tell you that from my perspective, I recognize the need for some affordable housing in our community. When we were first introduced to Woda Cooper, obviously a bit skeptical, wanted to investigate, find out who they were, what their product looks like, who they are, and we did that. Went to the most recent development in Noblesville, toured that facility. I think it's quality construction. I think it's on par with what you all would see at the new development at Wabash River Commons. So I think the quality of their product is good. The need for affordable housing in our community is there. So this fills that need as well. Another thing that we have to look at from an economic development standpoint and growth standpoint is that we need more housing in our city. We need more housing in our community. We need to bring more people to Peru. That will help with the other businesses that we keep trying to court to bring to our community because they will not come until we get to a point with our population where we can support those businesses. So I think this is a first step in continuing to work on housing in Peru to fill the gap with the other businesses, the retail and commercial, and hopefully the industrial. So from my perspective, I think this is worth bringing to our city. I am in favor of it, but obviously you get the decision tonight. Before we go any further, I would like to ask the public if you have any comments, raise your hand, let me know, and we will ask you to come forward and give us your comments. Yes. I can't see who that is, but stand up. Okay. Can you please state your name for us?
My name is Terry Hansen. I live at 336 North Duke Street, directly adjacent to the incoming project. I'm asking the council to leave the property zoned R1, not to rezone it to R3. My main concern is 38 units. That's probably about 150 people with probably 50 vehicles, bicycles and pedestrians coming in and out of one entrance numerous times a day, no sidewalks down Duke Street for anybody to walk on. It's not a very wide street, and I just am totally against a one entrance. The decrease in property values, I can't see how it would be an improvement. And the excess noise and the dirt during construction would be very annoying, to say the least. So I'm asking the council, please keep it R1. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Terry?
Yes.
Now, you live right there on
Yes.
Duke Street
Yes.
where the entrance is going in.
Exactly,
I
yes.
just wanted to point that out.
It's 60 feet wide, I was told. And they need 40 feet for the entrance. So possibly 10 feet left on each side of the property.
What if there were multiple entries? Would that make a difference?
It would have to make a difference as far as the traffic. But I'm sure nobody else wants a street beside their property either. So I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus and say, hey, put the street down there. The funny thing is, years ago, my parents owned that property and sold it. So here I am in this predicament now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else from the audience would you like to speak? If not, is there any other comment from the council?
Back here.
I'm sorry, I didn't see a hand go up.
I was standing in front of me.
Would you please state your name?
My name is John Boyer. I live at 522 Longview Drive. Where we live, it's not really going to affect us except for the woods. But, she kept saying that they're only going to build so many units and they're not going to tear out the rest of the woods. But if they fill up, are they going to build on again? That's one thing. Second thing is, where we live in Longview, we have so much trouble with our sewers because they never put in a substation where they could pump out everything. Well, these guys, where they're going to be, is going to be the same way. The city's going to have to put a pump station in there to pump it, because if you guys ever walk back here? Have you guys ever gone back there and looked at that field and everything?
No.
Well, I think you all need to walk through there and see. The land's like this, so they're going to have to level the land out, but it's still going to be lower than the street on Duke Street. That's going to cost the city money to put there, and I think if you're going to allow that, there's a white house right next door that's empty. So the guy bought it. I think they should, if they're going to develop it, they should buy it. See if they can buy that and move the driveway over a little bit, that it's not against their property as bad. But I know they're going to have trouble. They're supposed to come, the city's supposed to come every month and pump out our pipes. Well, they don't do it anymore because they said they're short of help. And then the people in our neighborhood, we have trouble. We got to get a roto-rooter, clean it out, and then the city comes and flushes it out. So that's another thing the city's got to look at. That's it.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I might say.
Yes, please. Come to the podium, please.
Sure. Art Smith, Senior Vice President with Voda Cooper Companies and construction side. So, yeah, we weren't able, I know we were trying to get a meeting so we could sit down with the utility companies. That definitely will happen as soon as we can get the drawings and get to that point. And I fully expect that we're going to be participating in some of the city work that happens, if not all of it. That's pretty ordinary. So I wouldn't expect that we would come in and do anything different. If you need a lift station, that's what will happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And is that one entrance the only possible entrance on this property? I mean, is there another option?
You want me to?
Please.
So yes, we could bring the entrance off of 14th Street, but that would impact the canopy, but we could go back and redesign that. As far as the entrance, she's talking about 10 feet on each side. It's a 5-foot right-of-way on each side. So if we're 10 feet, we're definitely beyond that right-of-way, according to y'all's regulations. But if that's something City Council would like for us to do, is look at a different entrance, or, normally we don't like to have 2 entrances because you don't like to have one way in and another way out, because that just creates people just trying to drive through and causing problems. We like one entrance in. But if the City Council feels that we need to have another entrance off of 14th Street, we are willing to redesign this somewhat where we do have an entrance coming off of 14th Street.
I think that'll maybe alienate folks over there in Longview and 14th Street by doing that, in addition to, folks on Oak Street that have an issue. So it just expands anybody that does have it. I understand, that suggestion, but I'm a little concerned about the traffic then into another neighborhood.
Right, I'm just letting you know that we're willing to work however you all see fit. We also will have a detention basin on site. So any runoff water that they're having issues with, that detention basin will alleviate what's currently there on the property.
Thank you.
Lady over here.
Pardon me?
She was.
I just wanted to, can we see the drawing, the sketch? I wasn't at the other, I'm sorry.
Yes, would you like to speak?
Yes, I would.
Please come forward. Give us your name, please.
Shirley Nevius. I live on Oak Street, about halfway down, so it'd be at the end of where she says this is going to be at. And I just want to say I was at the zoning board last week, and practically the whole neighborhood was there on both sides. And we were all totally told you guys, the zoning board, that we did not want it. We liked our nice, quiet neighborhood with the one-story, basically one housing, and that's the way we want to keep it. We've all been up there for years. We love our neighborhood. We like the woods behind it. We've been up there, and it's quiet. We like our neighborhood, and we wanted to keep it that way. If someday there needs to be housing additions with 70, so be it. But two-story condos, no, we don't want it. And I think that's why a lot of people didn't show up today, because I think they were so fed up with it, of how we all said no. We didn't want it, no way, shape, or form, and the zoning board still voted. So I think that's why you don't see as many here today as there was last week. So that's all I got to say.
Ma'am, may I ask a question? So if we keep it at R1, for example, I mean, you would be willing to, accept it, work through it, and allow, just the R1 residential.
Otherwise, I'm going to have, even though in her showing here, we're leaving some of that field, I'm going to have two-story houses behind my house. I mean, not to say that in a few years I won't still, but
Yeah.
if I have to gamble, I'm going to gamble on that versus this, where it's going to be a done deal. And I think that's what most people felt. That's probably why they're not even here tonight. But they figure this is already a done deal.
Yeah.
And we're just discussing it. That's why they didn't show. That's why there's only 3 or 4 of us tonight. But even though they said it can be 70, I've lived here all my life. I'm going to take a gamble that ain't going to happen. That many.
Yeah. Thank you.
Maybe we can talk to owners of it now and change their minds. Because from what I understand from them, they didn't even know who they were selling it to. It was an anonymous bid. So, we'll see.
Thank you. Yes? State your name, please.
I'm Ron Cunningham. I live on West 14th Street, right in the main entrance into Longview Drive. Been there almost 20 years. Like a lot of people in that neighborhood, we put a lot of time and money in our houses because it is a nice neighborhood. It is quiet. I've raised 4 kids. They can say a lot. Not saying we don't need this kind of housing. Do we need it there? I don't believe that's the right place. I mean, a nature preserve would even be more fantastic. Why can't we do something towards that for bettering the community? We have enough property outside the community in other areas, Grissom Air Force Base, that places like this can be built all day long and never affect anybody. If you guys were in my place, my kids, everybody else's kids that aren't here, I think that was, like she said, the main reason. A lot of people were kind of arms up thinking it's a done deal. you guys are already made up your minds, it's not going to happen. You know, I grew up in that neighborhood. My parents are on Oak Street, so I've been there 42 years since birth. Played in those woods. You know, they're going to take out almost probably 8 acres worth of woods and leave just minimal trees. Whether they tell you no, they're probably back there shaking their heads no. I know there's not that many woods there to accept 9 or 7 buildings, 8 buildings if you count the community building. I know what this will bring. You guys do too. I mean, if you guys were in my shoes, you'd want to fight it as much as you could. I mean, our hands are kind of tied. It was brought to us fast. It was brought to us quick. I know there was a petition that was signed, multiple people down 13th Street, Oak Street. I don't know if you guys even seen it. So it's, you know, I had to come up here, say what I need to say. Do I mind it being R1? Absolutely not. Years ago, when it was up for sale, my wife and I wanted to buy it. We didn't have the money. Now we do, and I'd bought it in a heartbeat. I'd probably put one house back there in the back, and that's fine. But, you know, not saying we don't need this, I just don't think that's the right location. Not because my house is there, but you're willing to put up 39 units and ruin more than 39 lives of people that have dedicated their lives to that area, to their homes, to their families, and all their money into their land and their value. And that's all they got on some occasions. You know, we have a lot of land outside of town here in different locations. I know there's 13 acres off of 31, you know, that's for sale right now. So I don't believe this is it. I believe one entrance coming in and out. Like she said, no sidewalks. I have kids. I would not want my kids running in and out. Yes, I've raised my kids around my neighborhood, but they're able to go in a circle and come right back to our house without going on the main street. People fly up and down Duke Street off of Blair Pike at 50 miles an hour. It's no place to raise kids, to have family that want to run in and out one entrance right there, and it's dangerous. There's a lot of things to think about than just saying yes, because our town needs it. I'm not saying our town doesn't. We do need growth, but I don't believe bringing low-income housing or even 39 units is going to be enough growth to turn around and bring us a Walmart. We don't even have anywhere, you know, worth spending your money in town on some occasions. I mean, there's a lot of times I have to go out of town to be able to get things I need to do, and I understand that bringing more housing in will help. But I just wanted to say, I put yourselves in my shoes. You know, other families, there's a lot of kids in that neighborhood. It's quiet, it's peaceful. We all know each other. We know whose kids are running around, and that's not something that happens anymore this day and age. So,
Thank you. Appreciate that. So we've heard from several against. I think we understand positions, but I believe it's probably time to ask the council to vote. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve.
One more, Mayor.
One more, please. We've already had 4 or 5. One more.
Yeah, my name is Gary Hawley. I live on Longview Drive. And we have if you've been up there, you know that we have a very quiet neighborhood. We have, you talk about one way in, one way out. That's the way we have it up there. That's the way we like it. And we definitely would not want another entrance off of 14th Street because that would make a loop for unwanted traffic. Traveling probably too fast around among our kids. We have people walk for exercise around our unit, our addition, simply because we have basically no traffic except the people that live there. So we don't need the extra traffic. We don't want the extra traffic. We don't think multiple housing is good for that area. And basically, that's all I got to say. I just wish you would not change it to R3 and leave it to R1. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could, I'd like to make a motion that we table this discussion. I like the fact that someone brought up the point that what about safety? What about the kids running around? Okay, so, and what about maybe another location? So you got the safety factor, you got another location possibly. Could they explore another possibility? Yeah, there are other areas, maybe, other land for sale.
Are you addressing it?
No, I'm just addressing the council and the audience and the mayor.
Can I speak on that, though?
Sure.
So we have already submitted our application for this site. The reason we chose this site is for the infrastructure, for the proximity to the city, the area here. I know someone mentioned out by the Air Force Base or whatever, we have to look for infrastructure because this is affordable housing. So when we're looking at our budgets, we have to look at our costs too in order to keep those rents at the affordable rate. If we don't get this approved now, then yeah, this deal is dead. So that's why we chose this area. And like I said, we're keeping the majority of the trees. We're cutting out the middle piece for the development, but we're only utilizing 6 acres of the 12 acres. We have no plans of ever doing a phase 2 here. This is it. So as far as us looking elsewhere, it's too late because we've already submitted our application to the State Housing Agency. For this site, we can't go back later and say we've moved our site. So that's kind of where we're at, especially with the infrastructure. We have to look at those costs too.
You wouldn't be able to submit a separate application if you found a different location?
No. It's a very competitive process, the housing credit program. And when you submit, you're competing with other developers across the state for housing, and it's based upon your score and what you submit at that time. So we cannot make those changes. What we've submitted here is 38 units. That's what, if we get an award of funds, that's what we are abide to. We can't make any changes. Now, we can change the site plan a little bit in case you all want a different entrance or something, but as far as the 38 units, the townhomes, and the location, we cannot change that.
I would just feel better if we didn't make our vote until you've had your meetings with the police, fire, and utility. I know he said that he had planned on having that meeting, but it didn't happen yet. And also, before we hear from, maybe speak with a couple of residents ourselves and walk the property.
Okay, if we don't have zoning approved by the end of September, the deal is dead, and that's the State Housing Agency, because we move forward with the zoning in hopes of getting it changed. So that's why we've been trying to push this now.
So that's less than a month. Could you guys have come to us sooner?
We started working on this. We found this site the 1st of August, and we've been working with the city. We've been working with planning and zoning. We've been working with the mayor. So yes. And I even requested to meet with city council beforehand, but was told it wasn't necessary.
I still make a motion to table this until next meeting.
So we have a
Second.
motion to table and a second, and your motion to table will be a yes or no vote. You can or you don't have to table this tonight.
If you vote yes to table it, it comes back next meeting. If you vote no in this vote, you can still motion to actually have a vote whether to rezone.
But if we vote no, if we vote yes to table it, and we don't talk about it, or it doesn't come in front of the council until next month, then that kills the deal, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
So yes means a table.
A yes vote will mean to actually table it. Essentially killing what they're, at least according to the developer, killing the deal.
So we have a motion to table on the floor. Roll call.
I would like to interject something. Here I am again. It's difficult. It's difficult. We're a small town. We know a lot of people. I know several of the people that live in that neighborhood, known them my whole life. Every day, I don't know about these guys, but my ear gets bent by somebody in Peru complaining about what we don't have, what we don't have. And there's a lot of things we don't have. And if every time something comes before this board, we let our emotions because of our friends and neighbors affect our decision-making, we may not have anything, or we may rarely get something. Does Peru need housing? Yeah, we do. We're either progressive or we're not progressive. So I think under the circumstances, I would be in favor. I'm sorry to those friends of mine that live in that neighborhood. However, that's just my opinion.
Do we have the option of a special meeting to give us time having a special meeting prior to next month that gives us time to do our homework and does not kill their deal entirely without us being able to have the information we are looking for?
Tell us again what your deadline is.
End of September.
The end of September.
Do you know the exact date?
Can we call it a special meeting? Council?
No, I think it's like,
And as Bobby said, I mean, I'm all about development. I just there's just a lot of unanswered questions that I just would like to
September 27th.
wrap my head around, other than everybody's information tonight. It was the first I've heard from anybody. So that was it. I mean, I'm not saying that.
So I think our requirement is 48-hour notification for the special meeting. So we could adjourn another council meeting before then.
Yeah, I don't want to cause the deal not to go through, but I would like to have, there's a little bit more information that I don't think we're going to find tonight.
May I address?
Yes.
Yeah, if you all want specific information, that I will leave you my card so you can email me and let me know what information
Absolutely.
you all would like to have.
I would appreciate that. And also a copy of the lease again as well.
Thank you. So we still have the,
Can I still say something? You're getting input from her. Can I say something else? Please?
certainly, please come forward. I'm trying to give everybody an opportunity, but at some point, we have to.
I understand. I hate to
make a
take up
decision.
any more time, but I just forgot to say one thing. Some of you were at the zoning meeting, and there were over 40 neighbors that showed up and voiced concerns about this. They didn't want it in this particular area, the multiple housing, face it, low income, affordable, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, there was 40 neighbors that live in that area that were against this particular project. And I would ask you people to recognize there were a lot of neighbors, most of the neighbors, that showed up to voice opposition to this in our area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
My daughter lives in that area. She too came to the Plan Commission meeting set against it. And once she heard about the development, she's got a 20-month-old child. Her concerns were speeding, traffic. Once she heard and saw the development, she's changed her mind. She understands that Peru needs to develop, and also understands whether there's 38 units there or not, it's not going to change how people drive down her street. They're already speeding down her street, and she is wanting to see Peru grow as well. And she was happy with the drawings of what was going in, and understanding that it's the option for single mothers, which she was a single mother.
Thank you. We still have the motion.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Will the public be notified before another special meeting concerning this subject?
Yes, it will be in the
It'll be
newspaper.
advertised.
Yes, it'll be advertised. Yes.
I was going to say, it doesn't have to be advertised in the newspaper. It has to be just 48-hour notice to the newspaper. It doesn't have to actually run in the newspaper, but it'd be
Okay.
city's Facebook page?
It'll be
so
on the
council-
website.
Okay. We still have the motion on the floor to table this. We need to vote on that. Roll
An-
call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Fisher?
No.
Huber?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Sayedechny?
Yes.
Stevenson? Ulrich?
Yes.
Thank you. So this will be tabled till we call another meeting, a special meeting for this project. And you'll be advised when that meeting will be held. Thank you. The next item on our new business agenda will be the swearing in of probational firefighters. Chief Dane? Chief?
Okay, we ready?
Yes.
Okay. The fire department would like to present Tristan Working for his official swearing in and badge pinning. Tristan is a 2020 graduate of North Miami High School. Holding the Bible will be his parents, Scott and Lori Working, and they'll also be pinning his badge on.
I, Tristan Working,
I, Tristan Working,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a probationary firefighter
as a probationary firefighter
of the Peru Fire Department
of the Peru Fire Department
for the City of Peru,
for the City of Peru,
according to the law
according to the law
and the best of my ability.
and the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Okay, moving right along here. The Peru Fire Department would like to present Lucas Hopwood for his official swearing in and badge pinning. Lucas is a 2021 graduate of Western High School. Holding the Bible will be his fiancee, Libby Edwards, and pinning his badge will be retired firefighter Brian Edwards.
I, Lucas Hopwood,
I, Lucas Hopwood,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties as a probationary firefighter of the Peru Fire Department for the City of Peru according to the law and the best of my ability. So help me God.
We doing Tiffany and is she next? Okay.
It's your show.
Yeah. Okay. They was pretty young, 20 and 21 graduates. Wow. I remember those years. So tonight we also would like to recognize some firefighters that have went on and took in some additional training to help our department in so many different ways. Tiffany and Nathan. We'd like to recognize firefighters Tiffany Babbs and Nathan Brimberry for successfully completing and obtaining certifications in rope rescue technicians class. During this 40-hour class, they were trained in various evolutions in rope rescue. Having firefighters take additional training not only makes them better at their jobs, but it also benefits the department as we can look into expanding into what services we can offer our communities in the future. We look forward to Tiffany and Nathan showcasing some of their skills that they have learned at our fast water rescue class in November. The department would like to say thank you for going the extra mile for your city. Thank you. Okay, on to the retirements. The Peru Fire Department would like to recognize the retirement of Eric Hawk. Eric started his career April 1st, 1997, and officially retired April 2nd, 2024. During his career, Eric held the ranks of captain, assistant chief, and chief. He was also a certified investigator and an EMT. We wish him the best in his retirement. And then if we could have Brian Edwards and Herb Hunt step forward, please. The Peru Fire Department would like to recognize the retirement of Brian Edwards. Brian started his career on May 7, 2003, and officially retired on July 11, 2024. During his career, he held certifications in investigations, inspections, and was also a training officer. He also was an EMT. He also held the ranks of captain and assistant chief. We wish Brian the best in his retirement. Union President Captain Nathan Hunt will present Brian with his plaque. Okay, last but not least, Peru Fire Department would like to recognize the retirement of Herb Hunt. Herb started his career on March 3rd, 2003, and officially retired on July 19th, 2024. During his career, he held certifications as an inspector, instructor, high-angle rescue tech, and swiftwater rescue. In retirement, Herb is now the EMA director for Miami County. We wish Herb the best in his retirement. Union President Captain Nathan Hunt will present Herb with his plaque. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. You know, that's part of the meeting that is fun to do. Recognition, acknowledgement of service provided for extra training and for new officers, new firefighters coming into the city. So I think it's vitally important that we do this type of recognition where we can have the most exposure. So thank you, Chief. Thank you to everyone tonight for being here. Appreciate your service. Thanks. Next item on our agenda will be a presentation by Guardian Advocates.
All right, hello, everyone. My name is Alicia Sturgis. I am the Executive Director for Guardian Advocates West. We are an adult guardianship program. We have been serving Miami County for about 4 years, going on 5 now. Unfortunately, COVID put a stamp on a lot of stuff. When we brought this organization to Miami County, and prior to being Guardian Advocates, we were Area 5. We were an umbrella agency to Area 5, but we've always been the Supreme Court VASIA Adult Guardianship Program. So I've come before you today and to requesting funds to help our organization to continue to serve in Miami County the individuals that we are already serving and will continue to serve. So a little bit about our organization. We oftentimes get referrals from community members, police officers, nursing facilities, hospitals, and such providers in regards to individuals that have an incapacitation over the age of 18 that need somebody to help with decision making for these individuals, whether it be medically or financially. A lot of our cases are surrounded around the individuals that have fallen through the cracks, that don't have family members or are on a disconnect with family, and their incapacitation is as such it causes deplorable living situations or mental health issues or just not being able to take care of themselves properly. So with the contributions that the city of Miami and commissioners and of Miami County, we have been successful currently, according to our letter of intent here, we are currently serving 4 individuals in Miami County as legal guardian. We've been appointed over 6 total, and we have 5. I know it says 4, but since I modified this, we have 5 that are on our current wait list. So our organization is a 2-for-1 match. Linda Johnson had brought this program. I don't know if all of you were in attendance in 2020, 2021, 2022. She is now retired, and I have taken over her position. But over the years, we have come and asked for your donations to support our program, because we are not very, we're very successful in what we do. We're just not very well known or very well funded per se. The Indiana Supreme Court started this, recognizing that Indiana needed an adult guardianship program back in 2014. And so they provide a matching grant if we get up to $75,000 a year. So if we get $37,500 in our counties that we serve altogether, because we do serve 5 counties, Miami, Howard, Cass, Fulton, and Tipton. So with all those contributions, we are able to request up to $75,000 from the Supreme Court grant. However, the last couple years, we've only seen about $50,000 to $55,000 from that grant. There are other stipulations that we have not been able to meet, unfortunately, like the Supreme Court decided that this needed to be a volunteer program. So it is my due diligence as the executive director to hire and train volunteers. Once we've become guardian for an individual, a volunteer would go to advocate for that individual. So essentially, because we lack volunteers, and then we only have the 2 staff members, essentially all the funding that we do receive has to go towards those incomes to make up what is lacked in the volunteer. So whether it's just time in general that we're spending with these individuals and taking them to doctor's appointments. A big turnaround that has helped the community, especially here in Miami County, is the level of mental health need is significant all across the board in all of our counties. 95% of our cases are mental health. And so to go into an individual's life that is living in this situation, for instance, we have one lady, 22 police reports in 1 year, 3 attempted suicides in that year. Family just couldn't cope with it anymore, didn't know how to deal with it. Mom needed help. They didn't want to be guardian over her because of her mental health. But I'm proud to say in the last 3 years that we've been serving her, we've been able to get her stability. She lives in a different residence that's no longer a trigger for her. She gets mental health services. We've cut back on the ER visits. We still have one from time to time. But it cuts down the cost in the community significantly by us being guardian over these individuals. And like I said, we have all across the board, 95% of the people that we serve have some type of mental health. They need constant guardianship, advocacy, and that's what we do for these individuals. So my question for you today is, I've come to request a $7,500 donation from the city. Again, we came in 2020 and we were awarded $3,000 back then. So with the city council, we do have commissioners' approval. We have signed a 3-year contract with the commissioners to contribute $7,500 until 2026. And we do receive funding through the Miami REMC. So those 3 sources, if you look at the statistical numbers on our letter of intent, 13% is about what we are serving in the population out of all 5 counties. Out of that 13% would be about 29,000, because our annual budget's about 2,300, 230,000. But we never meet that. I mean, our projected annual budget is around about 135,000. But when we submit the grant to the Supreme Court, we do have intentions of requesting up to $230,000. So out of that budget of that $230,000, about $30,000 of that would be the 13% from Miami County, and evenly divided, if we're doing city commissioners and REMC for about $7,500 apiece, that's approximately about $25,000 for the city of Peru. So are there any questions? Sorry, I just kind of went through that a little fast. I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with our program either, because like I said, Linda Johnson kind of led the way in years past, so.
So are you looking for a 3-year commitment at $7,500 a year? Is that what you're asking for?
Whatever you guys would like to approve, and then revisit it again. So last year, we were at about 5,000, and then we did let all of our donors know that we were going to be requesting 7,500 due to the inflation, price, expenses, all that jazz, for 2025 to be 7,500. And most contributors have been willing to meet that expectation even in 2024 or going to 2025. So that is completely up to you. I'm just telling you that's what the commissioners decided to do. I think they had some other expectations, like coming and giving quarterly reports, which I'm absolutely fine with as well. So whatever your guys' expectations would be, we could definitely meet those.
And we could look it up, but, so the city's contribution, have we made a contribution to you over the last, I saw 2020, there was 3,000. Has there been anything since 2020?
No.
How do you interact with 4Cs, or do you interact with 4C Health?
Absolutely, yes, and that's a great point. I know that they just brought over their acute care unit, so we'll probably see an increase in more mental health over in this area. We have several clients that we have gotten referrals from 4C that we've obtained guardianship for. So we engage with them quite frequently. Matter of fact, we still have clients that with intellectual disabilities have high behavior needs that is being served in Miami that we have to go and attend, when Fort County gets called to do an emergency service for them and stuff like that. And we are present as guardians to help in making those decisions.
And you have 2 employees, full salaried employees?
That's
And then
correct.
the rest is volunteer?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, it is. So we have an East and a West division. Our East division is kind of like where our headquarters is. We merged with our sister program in 2023. That's how we got out from underneath the Area 5 umbrella, because they knew about guardianship, and our CEO is an elder law attorney, so that's helped, because we do use pro bono attorneys when we get representation for these guardianships. So they are, even though we are East and West, I still do the West Division financials and staffing, and yes, it is just my staff and I, and we serve approximately altogether about 35 guardianship clients right now in all 5 counties. It's her and I, and we have about 9 volunteers.
Ma'am, do you have a facility for these people, or do you go to their homes? How do you interact with them?
Actually, Miami's been great, a very great resource when it comes to housing, because we have Indiana Mentor Group Home Provider, now 4C, who's coming over here, the public housing that is on the East End, and then we have Bona Vista Services. So and then the nursing facilities. So if an individual is in their home, it's a deplorable situation. We can use any of those resources to try to get them the help that they need faster. And we kind of act as an APS. There's some cases that APS may go into a home and they're like, well, they got food and they got shelter, and then I don't know, there's just something about that character, we can go in and generally speaking, talk to these individuals and say, hey, let's get this help, as long as they know that there's somebody to help them and that's willing to hold their hand as they're getting that help when they have nobody else. Generally, you can talk these individuals into getting the help that they need, so.
Who are the medical people on your staff?
We don't have medical people on our staff. So it is just executive director and case manager. We don't do nursing or medications or personal care or anything like that. But we do work with the providers that do provide those services.
Okay.
So.
Who's your big referrals? I mean, obviously, mental health, but then who else would refer?
Duke's Memorial. We've actually had a couple calls from the police, law enforcement, meeting individuals up at Duke's Memorial, mental health crisis, just nobody and able to make those decisions for that individual because of the nature of the incapacitation. And sometimes it's not always the case that we have to jump on a guardianship either. We are also a resource center. So if we can dig and poke and prod at getting down to the nitty gritty of the family members and then say, hey, would you be willing to help your loved one? And we can kind of walk them through the process of what a guardianship would look like, or getting them the resources to attempt a guardianship themselves.
When you say guardianship, is this a legal guardianship?
It is, yes, it is through the courts. So unfortunately, the adult guardianship program is our least restrictive alternative. Aside from like a power of attorney or a healthcare representative, those would be lesser restrictives. But these individuals, just because they have incapacitations, doesn't mean they're invalids. I mean, they still have the right to make decisions, and we very much allow them to make those decisions, making sure that they're safe and appropriate and not causing a risk to themselves or others. So, and like I said, we very much advocate for them. We attend doctor's appointments, care plan meetings. We even do pay a representative for some of these individuals. If the providers don't have the capacity to be able to do it, we will through Social Security or pensions or whatever. We've become quite the real estate agents as well. We do have some individuals that will have deplorable houses. As a matter of fact, we had a mother and a son when we first came to Miami that had a deplorable home, and we had called up Ron and said, hey, can you give this property back to the city, however that needs to happen? And I think it was since torn down. So, but they're good now. I mean, we still have guardian over them. They see each other on a regular basis. So we put our hearts into this program. I'm nationally certified guardian through the state of Indiana, so I've gone through the testing, and I've done this approximately, I think I'm going on 6 years now. So I mean, we build relationships with these individuals. We become family.
And do your volunteers have to have, I won't ask you, but volunteers have to have certain certifications or certain,
Yeah, we do. We background check, application, referral, background check, and then we do about 2-hour initial training, and then we do monthly trainings and match them one-on-one with an individual. And all of our cases, all of our individuals, they're established before we match them with a volunteer. So the only one who's going to court for the guardianships is me, and I'm working on training my case manager in that role as well, so.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
So it sounds like your request is for something on the order of $7,500
Yes.
from the city.
Yes.
I think that's something we'll have to take under advisement and look for the proper funding.
Okay.
Should the council decide that it's appropriate.
Okay, I appreciate all your time. I will be submitting my deadline for the Supreme Court grant, and I apologize this wasn't sooner, as I spoke with Mayor back in around March area about coming to a meeting, but our deadline to submit our grant for the Supreme Court with the matching funds would be October 18th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll revisit this at the next council meeting in October. I would like to make just a slight change in our agenda. We will get to the Circus City Festival and Circus Hall of Fame. I would ask that maybe Josh come up now and talk about Resolution 20-2024. We do need a motion to consider.
I make a motion we consider Resolution 3, 2024.
I second.
Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Huber?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Syed
Yes.
Stevenson? Ulrich?
Yes.
Thank you. Josh, go ahead.
Evening. So I'm here to present a 1,000% increase in the electric rate. Just trying to lighten it up. Just trying to
Thank
It's
you,
been pretty
Josh.
heavy tonight. Don't kill me on the way out. No, okay. So this is the quarterly tracker that we do every quarter. This is the pass-through energy costs from our bill that we pay directly back. So we don't get any more money for O&M or salaries or anything of that nature. So this is quarter is for a typical 1,000 kilowatt resident would be 0.2 of 1 cent increase on the residential side, which would be about 80 cents, 84 cents. And as I always attempt to do, Duke Energy is $140 for 1,000 kilowatts, which is 5% higher than this proposed increase. Heartland RMC, which is Wabash, is $153 per 1,000 kilowatts, which is 15% higher than us. Miami Cass RMC is $166 for 1,000 kilowatts, which is 25% higher than us. NIPSCO is $182 for 1,000 kilowatts, which is 36% higher than us. And AES Indiana is $144 for 1,000 kilowatts, which is 8% higher than us. And we're at $133 for 1,000 kilowatts. That's with the customer charge. Any questions I can answer?
And just as a point of information, you have a program that generates, these, your rate tracking. I mean, it's a rate tracking program.
We pay an outside third party to do this so that we have someone look over our numbers and we can't.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. Any type of rate adjustment, we pay a third party so that
Good.
we make sure that we're above board every time, all the time.
I like the fact you keep the numbers low. I mean,
We're trying.
and I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2024.
Second.
So we have a motion to approve in a second. Have a roll call?
Anderson?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Huber?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Sodecki?
Yes.
Stevenson? Ulrich?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. And now we have a presentation by the Circus City Festival Incorporated regarding a building annex or annex building. Also a presentation by Stacy Mize regarding saving the Circus Hall of Fame. And who's coming first?
You want first?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Matt Barnett. I'm a local teacher at Mechanical Middle School. I'm an 8th grade U.S. history teacher. I'm also a circus dad. So I have a daughter, Lily, and she is a 6th grader at Mechanical, and she is in the circus. My wife was in the circus. My brother-in-law, John Cole, shot out of a cannon for a while in China. So I have circus. I was not in the circus. I played baseball, but via being a dad, I've joined the circus. So I'm representing the Peru Amateur Circus Board. We're also known as CCFI, Circus City Festival Incorporated. We've been around since 1960. I would encourage everybody next year to come on out. We're having our 65th anniversary, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it, celebrating our circus history past. And I see behind you, Circus City, capital of the world. And we're here to encourage us to keep that in Peru, the Circus City Festival. So I'm representing the Circus City Festival here in a second here from the Hall of Fame, and we're encouraging you to keep that centrally focused here in Peru, Indiana. We have something very special that not a lot of towns have, and we would like to keep that. So, like I said, we formed in really the 1950s, and then by 1960 we had our first show at Thrush Courts. If you know where that's at, there was an open lot. By 1968-69, we're in our current building. It was an old lumber yard, actually, and we put our permanent big top over top of it, and ever since, that's what we've called home. I don't know if you've all got a chance to be at one of our circus shows. I want to let you know the impact we have on our community. We had 200 plus performers performing various acts. I think they're all death-defying that I would not want to do. My daughter does the high wire. You can't get me up 20 feet. So it's fantastic. We also have upwards of 200, 300, 400 volunteers that help us put this on. We cannot do it alone by just having our board. So we have a lot of volunteers. It's one of the few events in Miami County that brings the entire community together. We have people from all walks, all different lifestyles, and basically they all come together for this event. It's fantastic to see. It's a well-oiled machine. So we brought in this year, we sold 9,985 tickets. We sold almost 10,000 tickets in this community. We brought in countless people inside to Peru. They would not normally come to Peru, right? We provided a huge boom for the business. I already talked to somebody, they have their hotel booked for next year. That's already. So not many events like that in Peru bring in that kind of people. We have people from all over the United States that come in to see our show. And there's a lot of circus aficionados that also come to our shows. So it's a very special thing that we have here in Peru, Indiana, and so we like to keep it. What my petition to be for you is, we are in the works right now with the Circus Hall of Fame, and we've been working with Makita, with Jim Tidd and Stephen Ray. We're looking to apply for a grant. That grant is through Lilly Endowment, basically, and it's an arts-focused grant. So, like I said, I'll say it again. It's an arts-focused grant celebrating arts and culture throughout the state of Indiana. Why now? There are some people at the state level that are looking to invest in the circus. They want to create a circus road that would go all the way from Vincennes, Indiana, on up to Peru, sort of tracing the circus history past, and Peru would be a big part of that. So what I say is strike while the iron's hot, make hay while the sun's shining, whatever you want to say. Now's the time the state wants to invest in this. We need to do that. We need to bite now. I've talked to Stephen Ray, I've talked to Jim Tidd, we've been in lots of communication. Somebody down at the state has our ear, right? Or we have their ear, I should say. And this is the time. The sooner we get the grant applied for, I think we have a better shot. There's a pot of money the state has, and then they will give that out to various projects. So I think the sooner we get in and get into the pot, if you will, I think we have a better shot of getting that grant. You can see the quotes that CCFI is looking at here. In a second, you hear from the Hall of Fame what they're looking at. We're going together on this. We're together. It's a circus. So this grant will be a circus grant. So we're working together. It's been an honor. We've been working together on a lot of projects here lately. We're going to work together on our 65th anniversary. We're seeing some good partnerships come out of this, so we're very excited about that. The grant is going to basically allow us to build what we're going to do, and they can speak here in a second for their side. We're going to build a circus annex building. So if I can paint the picture for you, if you know the circus building, if you go to the north side, we have that green lot, right, the grassy lot. Used to be a always going out of business furniture store, right? Okay, good. Okay, well, that burnt down. It was the Great Fire of 2009. Right, so we bought that property that is now currently owned by us. We're going to put a museum on that site. It will be 50 feet. It'll also be 2 stories. The second story will be a conference area that the city of Peru can use. You can rent it out for wedding things, graduation parties. It'll be circus themed. It'll be very unique to the city of Peru. Also, it's going to have bathrooms in the lower level. If you've been to a show, we have like 2 bathrooms, and it's like a mad rush to get to them. That is not very convenient to our guests that come in, and we would like to build other bathrooms. So if you go into our building, you can go use bathrooms over here, and you can go to the back. That's going to be a huge blessing for us, right? And so the front part, when you walk right in, will be a circus museum that will celebrate CCFI history. It'll also celebrate the Hall of Fame circus. Our past here in Peru. It'll be done with Evo. So if you guys see the packet here, this was provided by Evo. If you've not talked to Evo, Evo is a fantastic organization that's based right north of us, and they are stoked about this project. They have been very excited about it. They want to partner with us. I've talked to the owner. We've had multiple meetings. You can see some of the renderings, what the museum will look like. It's going to be fantastic. Fantastic. There's besides the Hall of Fame and us, Baraboo, Wisconsin has the Circus Hall of Fame. Florida has a circus museum, I should say. This will be on par. This is going to be fantastic. It's going to have interactive displays. One of the things it'll have is a site where you can get on a unicycle and you can type in Jacqueline Cole, my wife's name, and it will tell her what year she was in the circus. So for volunteers and alumni here in Peru, Indiana, this is going to be a huge blessing to them because they're going to go in and see their dad that was in the circus, be able to type their name in and see his name pop up, that yes, my dad was in the circus. My hope is that this will really be a huge encouragement to our alumni. Peru is made up of a lot of circus alum. And this is going to be a huge support to them. But also, it's going to bring people in. I want you to see that this is a thing that will bring a ton of people into the town of Peru because we're going to have one of the few circus museums, along with the Hall of Fame, in the area. At the back part of the entire building, so like I said, you can sort of see the renderings there on one of those. I think it's the Graber construction quote. That'll show how the building's going to line out. And basically, the first half of the building will be, it'll be 175 feet long, and the first half of the building will be the museum with the double story for the conference center. If you go back to the second part of the building, it's going to be a wide-open 2-story pole barn field, and it will be a wagon museum. We have 15 to 16 circus wagons in our collection. We just actually acquired a few more, and we have no way to display those throughout the year. We stuff them anywhere we can so that they don't get rained on. And so this will allow us to rotate in circus wagons. There's a lot of people across the United States that love seeing that, and we don't have a way to do that currently. And so the Hall of Fame can rotate in some wagons of theirs. We see a lot of good partnerships through this. It's going to be a fantastic way to see circus memorabilia. Our goal is that once we do this, we're going to promote this a lot. And this is something that we're going to bring people into the town of Peru. This is going to be a high-class, world-class museum that you really don't see around this area. Between us and the Hall of Fame, I think it's going to be a fantastic collaboration. So like I said, we're excited about it. Evo is excited about it. You can see the quotes that we have there. Evo is right around $242,000. And obviously, once we get the grant from the state, if they give us 1.3, then we come back and we take a few things out, put a few things in. That's something we don't really know until the state says, we give you this money. We're going to ask for this much. The state doesn't always give you exactly that much. Now, how the grant's going to work, the building is coming in at 1.6, 1.5. It depends on if we need a firewall, and we won't know that until we actually get down to the bare bones. So you're looking at, those are our two quotes. That's where we're at right now. So we're right around the 1.8, 1.9 mil. We feel like this is the time to do it. As a personal organization, we are putting forth, our board is putting forth $200,000 of our own money towards this, so we're putting skin in the game. We met with the county commissioners, and we also met with the county council a few weeks ago, and they have to vote on it, like obviously they have to, but we had a lot of good discussion, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. Jim Tidd said that we check a lot of boxes for this grant, so we're going to ask for probably 1.5 from our organization, at least from the state, and then the Hall of Fame will also ask for their money. So that's where we're at financially on how it works. So we're asking you to partner with us. We're excited about this. Our ask would be $200,000, the same we asked from the county. We feel like we're part of the city. We feel like we contribute a lot to our city, and we would love to partner with the city to keep the circus the capital of the world, and this will celebrate that in a great way. So we're very excited about this next step we're going to take. Thank you for the support you've already given us. I know the mayor came in and toured our facilities. We already have a museum, we do, and it's fantastic. I know you went through it, we met. But we're looking to make that bigger and more exciting and kid-friendly to where they can interact with stuff. You can get on a rollerball board, you can learn how to juggle, you can try on clowns' clothes. You need to bring in school groups. I mean, I'm a teacher, 8th grade. Kids are different than maybe you grew up, and they need hands-on activities, and this will provide that for Peru. So we're looking at a lot of school groups coming in, and yeah, a lot of marketing, which would be great. So any questions you all have? Like I said, the ask is $200,000. That would be for us and the Hall of Fame together. That's not 200 for us, 200 for them. It's for together. We ask the same from the county council. How that works, the grant's not a matching grant. If we ask 1.5, we have to raise 1.5. There's no matching component. It looks a lot better, though. We have a lot better shot if our city, our county, and we put in skin in the game. There is no matching component. It's not a must, but I will say that we have a much better shot if you would put money in, the county would put money in, if we put money in. I know the Hall of Fame's going to put money in. So that's why we're doing the ask.
What is your deadline?
Our deadline is, Stephen Ray is writing on the grant right now, working on it, and Jim Tidd, they would know more about the final deadlines because they're combining our two for a circus grant. And he would be the one more to ask about a final deadline. We've gotten our stuff turned in. Like I said, the sooner the better, just because that pot is there, and it's got the millions of dollars that the Lilly Endowment's given for this grant. And once the money starts getting pulled out, all right, they got to make decisions. So we're trying to strike
So
while we
is it
can.
a letter of commitment that you're looking for, or actual dollars?
So the letter of commitment would be that how the county council sort of would word it is if we do get the grant, then you would put in the $200,000.
Okay.
If we don't get the grant, you don't give us the $200,000. We would. Our feeling is we're going to go for the grant at a later date. even if we don't get it this time, we feel like we have a good shot the next time. And so if this isn't the end, right, like, we're going to keep pursuing it. So, yeah, so it would read something like, if we do get the grant, the city would put in 200,000, the county put in, and we would too, so. Like,
Okay,
yeah.
just so I'm clear then, you're saying you're looking at asking for a grant of 1.5. Is that just for this building? Is it just for the Circus City Festival Association's, or does that include what the Hall of Fame Museum is going to ask for?
So the Hall of Fame is going to ask for additional funds for their own projects that they're doing, and we're asking for this for our funds. They will combine all that money, like Stephen Ray and Jim Makita. And Stephen Ray does the actual grant writing. We give information, they gave ours, and they put it together as a Circus grant. We're asking for that much money, but we're putting in 200,000. Like I said, that's the idea.
And if we were to put in
So.
200,000, how is that kind of split between the project?
The idea is 50/50. So we would go, right, 100,000 for us, 100,000 for the Hall of Fame, same for the county, right? So, really, it's all the same pot of money that you're looking at. And they're doing their projects you'll hear about, and we're doing our projects. Yeah, so that's sort of how it works. We're taking the lead on the project just because, as I talked to their president, we're in town. So we are, Kathy Green is our secretary. She's fantastic. She would handle all the paperwork. So she's very capable and able. Kenny Hansen's our president. So we'll handle the paperwork, I guess you could say.
This is unrelated to the money part. What would you do then if you did get the money and you did build this building and have your exhibit? What would you do with the south side of the building that currently houses the museum and the ticket office and the souvenirs and so forth?
Yeah, the plans are there's ideas of moving our wardrobe into that current space where the museum's at, because right now the wardrobe is out in a non-air conditioned building. Talk to any of the ladies that sew and they'll tell you it is rough, right? And also that'll be wardrobe change. The kids change in and out of, it's miraculous what they do. And that'll be a space where they can utilize during the show. We already do, but right now the museum. Also, think about it, if wagons are in the shop, a new building, that opens up a ton of space throughout the year for practice space. So we are excited. Tim Beziano is very excited about a wagon space. Also, you're showcasing something that not many places around the United States have. Peru is very unique in what we have. So
I'm really excited to see that the Hall of Fame and the Circus City Festival have got together, because I know for many years, and I don't know what happened and when it happened, they were separate. And that you're working together, I think that's fantastic, and I think that's something that's long overdue. I did have a question. All the antiquities and like the displays and things that you have at the Hall of Fame, when this new building would be built in town, would a lot of that come in, or would you still have that out there, and would it still be two separate museums?
I can speak on that. It's going to be if there are two separate entities now, they'll remain two separate entities. We have different focuses, so combining them together would not work.
yeah, our goal is not to combine the two. Our goal is not to combine the two. So they focus on a different circus history past. We focus on the CCFI. So our museum is separate from their museum, but with the money, which we'll talk about in a second, they're going to be able to improve upon theirs and maintain it. But the idea would be, I've been talking with some of the board members, we could rotate in exhibits. For the 65th, we're going to focus on a lot of Peru folks. And I've already been talking to Regine. She is with the Hall of Fame, and we're going to be helping each other out to celebrate Peru for the 65th. So separate entities, but we're partnering together for
But there is a spirit of cooperation. That's what I'm
Yes.
happy to see.
And we've been really excited about pursuing that. So,
Thank you. Any more questions? Thank you. Stacy?
thank you.
I'm going to try and be incredibly brief. I know we all probably want to go home. I just wanted to outline some of the differences between our organizations, because I think a lot of people don't know what the Circus Hall of Fame is and what our significance is to Peru. Peru is actually the circus capital of the world, Circus City, because of the Hall of Fame. Peru was founded back in 1834, and for example, the Shirk Edwards Mansion that just sold, that was built back in 1862. James Omar Cole House, the Cole House was built in 1883. Just 10 years later, the circuses started arriving in Peru. So we're looking at 1884, the big Wallace show came to Peru. And that was a nationwide circus. They traveled all over the country. Later on, they combined together with Hagenbeck and became Hagenbeck Wallace Circus. And later on, a bunch of circuses combined together, which included the Hagenbeck Wallace, Sells Floto, John Robinson, Sparks Circus, A.I.G. Barnes, Howe's Great London Shows, and Gulmer Brothers. They all combined together into a huge conglomerate called American Circus Corporation. Now this is important because this is when the circus actually started really growing humongous. So our barns were built about that time, 1922 our barns were built. And that's when, in 1921, all the conglomerate big circuses of the country conglomerated together at the Circus Hall of Fame winter quarters. Ringling Brothers acquisitioned everything in 1929. And between 1927 and 1929, which was when Ringling Brothers, in 1929, acquired everything, it was a huge area out there. They had I think it was 21 buildings out there. They had over 50 elephants, 3 large menageries. They employed a whole city out there full of people to take care of all these animals during the winter quarter there. And today, the Circus Hall of Fame sits on 10 acres of land, and there are 5 original buildings left. Of those 5 original buildings, most of them need major repair. The reason why this is so important and sets Peru apart and sets us apart from probably most circus sites in the entire country is that we have actual circus memorabilia, actual historic, artifacts on actual historic grounds with actual buildings still standing. This is something that doesn't occur anywhere else. So it sets us apart extremely, as far as what we have to offer, but also that we're dealing with national circus entities that we have artifacts for. It's not just Peru Circus. So we have more of a national draw than what Peru Circus would have. And so we have 2 new structures that's been put on the property in the recent times. We actually got a warranty deed in 1990 to start the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame was actually, I don't know if anybody knows this is where it started at. A bunch of businessmen from Peru, and some people actually from Circus City Festival, and some people that were part of the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame started from the old circus performers who stayed around and grew families, and they're the ones that brought in these old performers to train and started the Peru Circus. So all of those guys got together, and they actually went down to Sarasota, Florida, and they bought the Circus Hall of Fame, a lot of artifacts from them, and that's where the Circus Hall of Fame actually physically started as far as being a museum of artifacts. We have circus model builders there. We usually provide wagons for the circus parade every year. This last year we were unable to. I don't know if you guys noticed that our wagons were unable to be there. We found out that our insurance had been dropped on our buildings because of the decay of the buildings, that they would not insure our buildings anymore, and that in turn meant that we had no insurance on the wagons. And by the time we found all that out and tried to rush around and get insurance, it was too late. So we unfortunately couldn't provide wagons this year, but we are planning it for next year, and we are getting together with people and cooperating with people to be able to provide that. And we have a lot of neat wagons out there that we have had gracious donors donate money to restore. The Merle Evans wagon is one of them. It's a big band wagon that carried band members on it, and they've got these fold-out bleachers and stuff. They're really cool. We have, my personal favorite is the Sig Sautel wagon. I don't know if you've seen it. It's the red one with the gold leaf horses, and it's a beautiful wagon. I love it. We have 50 display cases out there right now that house different artifacts, and we rotate displays and change them at least once a year. We change at least 1 or more display cases to try and keep it fresh out there. We are totally volunteer, so for us it's hard because we are really needing volunteers. We would like to see cooperation with the city, and we would like to see some help from the city, to be honest with you, because we are about to lose one of the most important circus sites that we have in this whole entire country. We are real close to losing it because the funding's not there, and the people showing up and volunteering's not there, and we don't get a lot of advertising from any other organization. We have to do most of our advertising ourselves. And so there's just not a whole lot of focus put on what we have to offer. That's why I wanted to come here today and speak to you, to tell you exactly how different it is, because I don't think a lot of people know that in Peru. And as I've talked to people in Peru, they don't even know it's out there. And as Matt Barnett said, we are trying to cooperate together for that grant, that Eli Lilly endowment grant. We were supposed to put in for the Ready grant, but something happened. We got dropped off. I think there was too many applicants. And anyway, we got dropped off of that, and they decided to put us with the Eli Lilly grant because they said we could still possibly qualify for that. I believe our asking is lower than theirs. I believe it's $750,000. Right now, we did get $20,000 from the county that was granted to us immediately because we needed immediate emergency funds to try and basically shore up one of the barns. So the main barn with all the artifacts in it, one of the walls is falling off, and every time a storm comes through, it inches off. It's like the end of the building, and it's going to fall off. And they just recently, so it hasn't been done yet, but it will be done. They just recently granted us emergency funds just to put a Band-Aid on a big gashing wound. You know what I'm saying? We need more funds. We need more help to try and save what we've got. We have the south barn. It needs a new roof. It's really neat if you go out to the Circus Hall of Fame and you look at the south barn. That's where all the wagons are being stored at right now in that south barn building. And if you look at the top at the roof line, you'll see little white tiles peeking through on the roof. Those white tiles are the original tiles from that roof from 1922 when it was built, which is pretty cool, but it's not cool when you're thinking, hey, we need to save these buildings. We had a wagon shed that we kept some wagons in that actually got hit by a tornado a couple years ago, and it ripped it apart. I don't know if you guys received a packet. You were supposed to receive one that outlined the information that I'm going over. Did you guys get that?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, because I don't want to totally lose you. So we have some successes. We have some wagon restorations. We have 18 that are parade ready. So if we did a parade today, we could have 18 of them in a parade. We have 45 total. We've bought a couple new ones recently that were historically significant, that we felt like they needed to be acquired because they are actual wagons versus being reproductions. They were actually used in traveling circuses that traveled by horse around the country kind of thing. And so they're important things to try and save. We have done a big restoration on the gatehouse, which is really cool. The outside still needs a lot of work, but the inside has been totally redone, and they've put in a new HVAC system, and that's going to be our records room, and we're going to have records in there to where you can go back and look up history and look up different things that you're interested in. They can pull up articles and magazines and whatever, and for a research facility. It will be one of the only research facilities in existence that is like this. And it's dealing with, because it's so specialized with the old circuses. We have barn repairs that we have done. We put a new roof on that north barn. I told you that the end was falling off. We put a new roof on that already, and that cost us $206,000. A lot of that was grant money. We do get money in. We get money through sponsors. We get money in through events. We get money in through donations. A lot of our membership has fallen, and so we'd like to up our membership again, and we'd like to get more people out there and using the facility. We want to save it, and if you've ever had like a building or a house that you owned or an apartment, you know that if you don't have people living in it, if you don't have people there, it degrades. It degrades faster than if there's people living there. And so we need people out there and, using the facility and keeping it alive. And the other thing I wanted to say is that we are basically looking for that investment from Peru, but we do have that interest from the state on that other separate issue. I don't know a lot about it, Mr. Mayor. I believe that you were in talks with him about interest from the state on a project, and I think that that's something really important to consider. And if you think about it, it could be changing for this entire area. It could change our infrastructure, our financial infrastructure for this entire area, I think. But that's one of the things that draws us in and makes the Hall of Fame set apart, is that we do have those historic buildings on that historic property. That makes it different than any other museum, circus museum you'll ever encounter that I know of. So I think that's one of the biggest things I wanted to portray to you. Do you guys have any questions for me? And in fact, I have Frank Heath. He's going to come up and tell you the financials more because he's more versed on that stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of information. And I tried to ramble through because I'm trying to let everybody go home, so I apologize.
So you're asking Stacy for a grant from the state, or you mentioned 750,000.
That is what we put in for the Eli Lilly Foundation.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. But Frank can go over more of that because he's got all the financial information, and he's more of a financial guy than I am. I'm not good with that verse.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Stacy.
I'll try not to put you to sleep with the numbers, okay? On the presentation that we gave you, which you have a copy of, on page 11, we show you average income over 2 3-year periods. It's meant more to show you how the money is coming in, not necessarily on the numbers. An important number on here, though, in 2021 to 2023, the average income was $124,000. By law, we have to report things like contributions and donations for specific things as income, and also debt forgiveness. Debt becomes a major problem when you're applying for grants as well. Fortunately for us this year, we had one debt which was for $105,000 forgiven, or $106,000 forgiven, and another for $46,000 given. So that number there is of 124 is closer to 70. But then we also had $35,000 came from the circus model builders, which can only be used for matching funds for the preservation of circus models, et cetera. We are collecting a lot more on the grant side, and also we are getting donations in substantially from different areas. We've modified our acquisition program a little bit, that we have a national reputation, and circus people who are dedicated as circus fans, et cetera, have this feeling that whatever they have belongs in our museum. Well, you'd have to see some of the truckloads that come in that we have to go through. We have the ability to start selling some of that off. We will do that to supplement the monies that we're trying to come up with. Our key problem is the disrepair. We represent the past. We represent the history of the circus. We are nationally known. People do know us, that we're here. Unfortunately, it seems like people of Indiana don't always know. All right, but we were asked recently by the state to participate in the state fair as part of their startup of their initiative on the circus side, which we were able to do to rave reviews. We're trying to put Peru on the map. You are the circus city capital of the world because at one time you had the largest circus quarters. A lot of culture came with the circus across the country, right? A lot of what you see and hear about the circus literally came out of Indiana. And the history is as important as the present. And you have a lot of history. You have people who do come here. I have to say some of the other things that you're talking about developing, such as hotel space, et cetera, would help dramatically. The other thing is that people don't know where we are. A few road signs would help, folks, but the state, we're going to work with the state to try to get that fixed up as well. If you have any questions on any financial numbers, please let us know. We'll get back to you. We have prioritized a list here so that you would see exactly where the money would go. We also gave you a very last page, which basically says, well, for this current year, we've had expenses of $69,000 and income of only $43,000 to date. We are dark basically 7 months out of the year. And part of that is because we don't have 200 to 300 volunteers. As a matter of fact, most of our board is, the majority of the board is not from Indiana. And when we have a work week, the majority of the people that come in to work on this national treasure are not from Indiana either. We have no paid employees at all. Everything is done on a volunteer basis. And I can honestly say that many times whatever needs to be supplied is done without reimbursement. Nobody's paid any travel expenses, hotel expenses, and guess what? They do eat here. On that note, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them for you.
If you get this grant, it goes through everything. So will you have enough funding to restore all the wagons?
To do, I'm sorry?
Will you have funding to restore all the wagons if you get this grant? And
We have a priority list here as to what we could do. The number in total, all right, is well over $1 million, right? But the barns are the critical thing right now. The building maintenance is critical because that's what protects the collection. And like I said, we're getting stuff coming in that is not necessarily related to Peru, but is related to the American Circus Corporation, et cetera, and is irreplaceable. But it comes here because this was where the winter quarters were for the American Circus Corporation, which, by the way, was like 8 circuses.
so you're not talking about building new barns. You want to restore what you have out there, right?
Yes, we're very strictly regulated, by the way, by the American Museum Association, all right? So how we deal with things is prescribed, all right? There's a whole accession process that has to be gone through, and if we decide to move anything, we have to either de-access it or find another location for it. And that's one of the problems we have right now as members of the board, which both Stacy and I are. If the buildings are not repaired and the collection becomes jeopardized, it's our responsibility to find a location for it somewhere. And that we don't want to do. It needs to stay here.
Thank you.
Yes?
So just from my understanding, you went to the county and that was a match, requesting a match for the $750,000 Lilly grant? And they said 200,000 or not? Or what did the county make a commitment of a match for?
So what happened at the county, let me come up there.
Or was that,
Yeah.
the 200,000, was 50-50 between Hall of Fame and Circus City Festival?
Right, so what happened at the county council meeting was that we asked for a matching grant for that Lilly Foundation grant. And it was decided, I don't know, I'm not like in the inner workings of this. The guy that was supposed to be here today is sick, so I'm filling in a little bit. But I was at that county council meeting, and I did speak there. The way I understood it is that somebody decided that we were going to ask for $200,000 for the 2 combined organizations, and it would be split $100,000 each for each organization. That's what we were going to ask from the county.
Okay.
And that we were also encouraged to turn around and ask for the city to also, to contribute. What happened was we went to the county commissioners meeting, and that was done there, and the commissioners said that they were going to strongly suggest that the county council goes ahead and does that. So I think we kind of did it a little bit backwards in a way, because the county commissioners hold the purse strings for the county council. And I think we should have probably went to county council first and then county commissioners. But the county commissioners have already put their stamp of approval on it. So if the county commissioners go ahead and say yes, it's going to go right through, because we've got, such support from the county commissioners right now on this that, yeah. And I wanted to also say part of the reason why we can't change those buildings or build new ones and tear those down, they are all on the historic registry as well. So you can't just like yank a building down that's on the historic registry. I mean, you probably could, but it wouldn't be real smart. And that's why I said for this big thing from the state stuff, I think it'd be smarter to restore these buildings and keep them because they're historic buildings. They're the actual original buildings that they housed elephants in,
One of the problems you do come into, though, also when you have a National Historic Register, when you're on that, you just can't make a decision, well, I want to replace this window, so I'll get anyone to do it. It has to be back to what it originally was. You do get some leeway when it comes to the type of materials, like on roofs and stuff like that, all right? But in general, the building, they even want the wood to be the same, right? Which adds to the cost as well.
So you have a grant, if everything would work out great, and you got 100,000, your portion of the 200, 100,000 from the county and 100,000 from the city, and then that's 950,000. Does the Circus Hall of Fame have funds that they're going to throw into the pot as well?
Basically, my understanding is that the Lilly grant will be a matching item. So
Yeah.
200 would make us 400.
You're right.
Each of us would get 200. Ours would go into the maintenance of the buildings. The building, if we don't do something pretty quick, one of them's going to fall down.
Yeah, now the Circus City Festival Association was going to put 200,000 of their own funds into that match.
I can't speak for them. You'd have to
Well,
talk to
That's what
them.
they just said anyway. But you folks aren't, you're looking at your match on this just coming from the city and county.
Yes.
But also, we, to interject, because we do have a little bit of money, not that much,
Yeah.
I believe we have $16,000 that we're, everything that we have, we will throw in there. It's
Okay.
all we have. And I do a car show, and it's coming up October 6th, and then any money we make from that gets donated directly to the Hall of Fame as well. So,
Okay.
I mean, as we go on, we're trying to do as much as we can, but that's where we're setting out the reality of it.
Okay.
Our membership at this time, including businesses, is about 105. That's pretty slim for a museum at our level. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So once again, we have a request for funds to be donated to be split equally between the Circus City Festival Incorporated and the Circus Hall of Fame. We will have to take this under advisement and see where that money might come from. And we'll revisit it again in October. Agreed?
Thank you.
Do we need a motion for that?
To table it.
Pardon me?
To table it, yes.
Yes. So we need a motion to table till the next meeting.
I make a motion to table.
Second.
We have a motion to table this until our next council meeting. Have a roll call, please.
Anderson?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Huber?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Dudchny?
Yes.
Stevenson? Foley?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have time for one more thing? We have one more thing on our agenda. This is the Resolution 3-2024, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Peru approving additional rules of procedure. Do we have a motion to consider?
I make a motion to consider.
Second.
And roll call?
Anderson?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Huber?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Dudchny?
Yes.
Stevenson? Foley?
Yes.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions about this resolution?
So obviously today, this is, the same thing occurred.
Yes.
As far as restricting them, I mean, obviously you allowed more people to speak than originally was.
I did.
So that would
did.
still be, even if this passes, there will still be like, you know, a leeway
Yeah,
of
this is
suspending that
just-
rule to, if there was new.
Establishing a framework for decorum rules in addition to Robert's rules within the city council meetings, so it doesn't get out of hand, and if it does, here's what we can do about it. There was a new law passed in July 24 this year, basically establishing exactly what we're proposing here tonight for our city council meetings.
Because as of right now, without this, is it correct that, I mean, we can't really do much regarding the,
All we can do is ask and suggest that they follow kind of the rules that I outlined before we had the zoning discussions. I try to give people enough time to voice their opinion, but at some point, you kind of reach the limit to where we've heard enough opposition, or we've heard enough people, proponents of it, and we need to make a decision. So that's just kind of what this is establishing. And if somebody does not recognize that, if they do not follow the rules and they're asked multiple times, then they can be removed from the council chambers. Yes, sir. Sure. You state your name, please.
My name is Norman C. I live at 2 Parkway Terrace. I understand the need to get out of here, move along your meeting. I understand that. I'm not sure what the new law says because I haven't seen it. I come ill-prepared for this because I just heard about this today. My concern is taking away somebody's First Amendment right of being able to address their government when it comes to something like this. That's where my concern comes in. And like I said, again, I completely wholeheartedly understand Robert's rule of law. But again, it comes down to, are you going to take away somebody's constitutional right to address discourse with their government? And that's probably a better question for you, because like I said, I didn't see this new law. I was unaware of it, but that's my concern with it.
I would note that the general public does not have a right to speak at these city council meetings. Affording them that opportunity is a gift, technically.
Even though this is required to be a public meeting, it is not a meeting for the public. They are here to watch the proceedings. If they're offered to give their input on a decision or a particular discussion we're having, then we're affording them that opportunity. But we also have the right to say, we've heard enough people, and we try to limit the time because, quite frankly, in some of the other meetings, you can have people come up, and no disregard, but they just continue on and on. So we're trying to put a time limit on that. I think 5 minutes is an adequate amount of time normally to voice your opinion, but we're certainly not trying to take away their right to speak. But once again, it is a meeting not for the public, but is a public meeting. So therein lies the difference.
I understand that. Like I said, sorry I come ill-prepared because like I said, I caught this last minute. But I believe, I'm not sure where that law came from, but I believe in Illinois that's actually being challenged in the state of Illinois on something similar to this specific Robert's Rule of Law. I may be wrong. I came ill-prepared on this today.
I have to defer that to our
I understand.
I don't pay attention to Illinois.
But if it passes in Illinois, then it goes further and deeper than that to where.
And possibly will.
That's just my concern with it.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And I'll interject, you might look at House Bill 1338. There was some guidance in there, so.
It was adopted as Indiana Code 36-128-1.
36-128.
I'm sorry.
36-128-1. That, and again, these are public meetings. Public hearings are designed for public comments.
I think somebody else has.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Kim Simpkins, 70 North Broadway. This came up a while back. I think it was the first session,
Yes,
maybe
sir.
second. And I had sent an email to all of you expressing my concerns about it. I'm glad to see that the limit has been up from 3 minutes to 5 minutes. I think that's appropriate. I understand the need for limiting that. I still am hesitant about limiting the number of people, especially down to 3 on each side. I think that, I don't know. Usually, you don't have that many people. Like right now, you're probably going to have 2 people talking on this, and we're both kind of on one side. But anyway, there are going to be some times where you might have a few more, but I think that the 5 minutes is great. I'm glad to see that change. I think I would prefer to at least see more attendees being allowed, if not have that number of attendees restriction removed. That's what I would like to see. Again, it's up to you guys, but that's my input on that matter.
Well, I think you witnessed tonight my willingness to stretch on that a little bit.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but we still need to have a number in there, I think.
Well, I think the problem, and it's great, I mean, you're in there, and I don't know what your position is on anything, but if you have the ability to stretch those rules, then that also leaves the ability to abuse those rules. And so I think that whatever rule you have, I don't like, I mean, and in the future, it may not be you, it may be somebody that has a totally different viewpoint than you, and they could abuse them. I'm not saying you're gonna abuse them, I'm just saying that the ability's there, I don't, that's where I'm iffy on it.
Okay.
But am I correct in saying if we want to request to suspend those rules and add, the council has that ability to do so as well?
I believe that has, according to Robert's rules of law,
Yeah.
that has to be done.
So that would be that case, Tim, if you're like, you felt like that it was, not being dealt with, then the council actually has that right to be able to suspend that and speak more people to be able to speak.
Okay, well.
So it wouldn't be set in stone just because the mayor decided, all right, we're done. If we didn't feel like it was done as well, we would also have that right, so
That
I
has
don't.
to be done before the 3 and 3 start.
It wouldn't.
If you're following.
It wouldn't, because this isn't Robert's Rules of Order, it's not
Yeah, that's-
consistent. When normally, generally speaking, before you adopt the minutes from a previous meeting, the council, 9 times out of 10, suspends the rules at the start, onset anyways.
Yeah, and so that may make your decision a little bit different, I don't know, but thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Kristen?
Thank you. I'm not going to approach because the room's not accessible. So I have concerns as well about the limiting of the number of people. We don't limit businesses that present before the city council to 5 minutes, and remonstrators might need more than 3 people to do that. I also think it puts an undue burden on the citizen. If they find out that something's coming to their neighborhood that's been planned by a corporation for 6 months, and then they have 2 weeks to figure it out, they have to choose spokespeople. You got to hope that the people in the community don't have a long history of not getting along, and how they have to decide who their 3 spokespeople will be. I just feel like every citizen should get their 5 minutes. And in general, having been to a lot of city council meetings, I don't think you're going to have very often where more than 5 people want to speak about a subject. Additionally, I think that we have a very amicable city council right now. You guys get along, you discuss things behind the scenes, and you work really hard and you work well as a team. That is not the case for our previous city council. And if you had these guidelines in writing, my concern would be what my fellow citizen just said, that we would have people who picked the people that they knew what they were going to say in advance, and then they would have the right, according to what was written, to cut off any other discussion. So I think that limiting the number of minutes someone can speak is not necessarily a bad idea. And I realize arguing for more people to speak is a terrible idea at 8:30 at night. But, right? But I think that we're not usually here till 8:30 at night. And while I appreciate your time, I also want to see some balance with people having their voice.
And I think sometimes, I don't know how the mayor presents it, but, he said, does anybody else have anything different to say? Because a lot of times, we have people get up there and basically cover the same ground. And I want everybody to have a chance to speak, but if it's the same angle as what's been presented, then we're trying to minimize that.
Thank you for your comments. Any more discussion from the council regarding this? If not, I would ask for a motion to adopt Resolution 3-2024.
I make a motion, we adopt Resolution 3, 2024.
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Huber?
Yes.
Murphy?
No.
Kryzakny?
No.
Stevenson? Ulrich?
Yes.
Thank you. Seeing nothing further,
We
the
missed the B
communication.
ordinance.
Pardon me?
We missed
No, the B ordinance
What's
is
not on this?
moved till the next month.
Oh, next, okay.
Yes. Thank you, Tim. Do we have any further communication from the council? Any further communication from the audience? Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you guys for your time tonight. I really appreciate you guys giving us the time to speak. We took longer than what we should have, but we appreciate it.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
If there's nothing further, I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
This meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.